ATF Special Agent Jay Dobyns has taken on the worst of the worst in his career, but he never dreamed he'd be taking on his own government. Dobyns claims that after risking his life and his family's, he was betrayed by the very agency he was proud to serve for 27 years. I was in Tucson, Arizona recently for closing arguments in Dobyns' case. And as he told me, he's suing the federal government to try to ensure that what happened to him doesn't happen to another member of law enforcement. But he's not overly optimistic because the key players in his case were allowed to stay on and carry out ATF's deadly gun-walking scandal, Operation Fast and Furious.
This has been what is characterized as an American law enforcement horror story.
What happened to Jay Dobyns was wrong, and it was wrong on an epic scale.
It's a sad day. It's an 8th career ATF agent. It's a sad day for ATF leadership. The agency has lost its way.
And at this point, I can't differentiate between the conduct of ATF's executives and the Hells Angels.
This whole case really stands for the idea that, sadly enough, in ATF right now, if you go that extra mile, when you come out from undercover, they're not going to have your back.
Years and years of death and violence threats against me and my family have been ignored by ATF.
It all started back in 2001 when the feds knew that Agent Jay Dobyns was their man to infiltrate the notorious biker gang, the Hells Angels, for the first time ever.
He is a modern-day warrior who do things to the limit, 120%.
We have a dangerous job that assumes risk, but our job is to protect the American people. It's to handle America's business for violent crime.
I'm not afraid.
I will stand up to the bully.
But when the Hells Angels operation ended and Jay Dobyns' role in that investigation was revealed, the death threats started coming and his home was burned to the ground. And that's when the tables turned.
There was threats to kidnap and gang rape my wife on videotape that ATF disregarded, never reacted to. There was evidence of threats of murder contracts on me being solicited amongst various criminal groups, the Hells Angels, the Aryan Brotherhood, the MS-13, that ATF did not want to pay any mind to.
A federal agent's home is set on fire in the middle of the night with your wife and children inside. Most people consider your house being set fire to at 3:30 in the morning to be a threat. ATF is possibly the best arson and explosives investigative body in the world. You conduct a threat assessment. ATF did not do that.
Instead, according to Dobyns' attorney, the ATF tried to frame Dobyns for arson.
ATF was audio recording him twice without his permission, without required authorization from the U.S. Attorney's Office, long after the best agents out there said, we're done. This guy and his family had nothing to do with this, and yet management went ahead and still continued to pursue him as a suspect unreasonably. Department of Justice was gracious enough, I guess, to stipulate that they in fact did audio record him without permission after we found it out through discovery.
This is how Eric Holder's DOJ, with the word justice in its title, handles America's business and treats our law enforcement officers.
It happens because people become power corrupt. The ATF Internal Affairs report found the agency guilty of what they had done, and they stood by and allowed DOJ to continue to attack me, even though they had a hard, cold document in their hands, internally produced, that told them that everything that DOJ was denying and arguing against was actually true, it was accurate. They have each other's back, and that's it. Everybody else is left to fend for themselves.
The DOJ's strategy was to deny the truth, to morph the truth, and hope to out-resource me.
I told ATF's executives face to face, I will see this through or I will die trying, but you will not break me. You will not get me to quit.
Jay Dobyns said that you guys abandoned me, you have not protected my safety or my family's safety. The Department of Justice, the most they did is that they countersued Jay for money he made from a book about ATF.
They've also had my book on display within ATF headquarters, publicizing it and promoting it on a wall called ATF Authors, and bragging on the publishing of the book, at the same time suing me for it, saying that I harmed and damaged the agency.
Wasn't there an Inspector General report that concluded that the ATF's office in Phoenix did not adequately address the threats that were made to you?
They went beyond that they said that ATF was reckless and dangerous and full of malfeasance. and shrug and not do anything, not even lift a finger to conduct an investigation into it.
They withheld information, and as a result, we don't know who did this. We don't know if they're out there loose.
Today in court, U.S. Federal Judge Francis Allegra stated that the government's treatment of me was wretched. He said that the misconduct that was impacted on me was purposeful. It was based on professional jealousy or nothing else than spite.
It was mind-numbing. I was embarrassed for the United States government there, quite frankly.
Nothing surprises me at ATF anymore because these guys, they can't do the wrong thing right. One of the most disturbing statements in closing arguments was the DOJ defense attorney said that this problem lays at the feet of Jay Dobyns. It's so typical of Eric Holder's DOJ. Their attorneys will not, cannot, are not capable of taking any ownership over anything that they've done wrong. And that's not just in the Jay Dobyns case. That's in every conflict that DOJ is in. It's always someone else's fault. Nobody cared about what the OIG found. They sent that report to President Obama. They sent it to Eric Holder. They ignored it. And they left those people in place knowing that the allegations were true. And what happened in Operation Fast and Furious and ultimately Brian Terry's death should be no surprise to them. They were corrupt. They were dirty. They were criminals. And they chose to believe ultimately the people that ran Fast and Furious instead of me. Not one of them was stung by the criminal acts and the corruption that they participated in, while Josie Terry sits at home and mourns the loss of her son and can't get a single straight answer out of the government. It's sickening, it's disgusting. It never ends and it won't ever end. Because until that dog bites and results in a termination or a prosecution, do more cops have to die? I think that as agents, we hope to leave some kind of legacy behind, and I never believed that my legacy would be someone that was fighting against my government for justice.
I'm hoping that the judge will rule in my favor. But if he doesn't, the core goal of my mission was to expose the truth and expose the people that were behind the bad acts and the criminal conduct I faced, and I've accomplished that. What DOJ and ATF never understood, that this lawsuit was never about money. You cannot repay me for what they've done to destroy my reputation, my career, what they've done to harm my family, the exposure they've left us under. There is no amount of money that will ever make that right.